It all started in 1980 and there seems no end now to the success and popularity of the Adidas Dublin Marathon. The 27th running of this race sees over 10,500 entries this year, almost surpassing the 1982 record of 11,076. It's looking like the strongest field ever for a race that survived into a new generation. For the majority of those pounding the streets of the capital, it's all about beating personal targets and personal goals. At the Marathon Expo at the RDS, testing your pre-race ability can be just as important as getting some R&R. Merrion Square is where the race will finish.
We're virtually in major construction mode at the moment. We have been since 6 a.m. this morning. With the super cooperation of the Gardaí, we've been able to close off the area. We've about 30 or 40 volunteers, 3 forklifts, any amount of trucks you can imagine coming in and out all morning. We've got all of our fencing up, everything in a safe, secure mode. We're expecting a big crowd tomorrow. Numbers are up again, so we have to build all of the facilities to cater for all of these people in a safe mode.
The eve of race breakfast run has become as much a part of Marathon Weekend as the race itself. Those not competing have a chance to taste some of the competitive spirit. For those taking part in the marathon, it's a vital warm-up. Bank holiday Monday morning as athletes from 60 different countries make their way towards the warm-up area behind the finish line before reaching the start line on Nassau Street. Germany, one of 31 European countries to have runners taking part in this 27th Dublin Marathon. Towards the back of the starters, the excitement's growing, but a lot more tense around where the elite runners are. 105, Alina Ivanova. 107, Yulia Vinokurova. 101, last year's women's race winner, Zenaida Semenova. They'll be among the athletes expecting to battle it out to be women's champion for 2006. The wheelchair athletes have the privilege of going first. The field of 5 released 4 minutes before the mass start. Among this group, Richie Powell of Wales and Corkonian Jerry Ford. Padraig McKinney, former Irish Marathon champion. 8, Aleskey Sokolov, Russian equivalent. 5, David Kiblagat, Kenya. 4, Eshete Bekele of Ethiopia. Names to watch out for today. Tension as the seconds tick down. And the 2006 Dublin Marathon is underway. Bekele wasting no time in surging away immediately, but how long can he sustain it? We former winners competing today, defending champion from the Ukraine, Dmytro Osadchi, 2004 winner Lezan Kimutai, Scotland's Simon Pride, a winner here in 2000, all looking at a second bite of glory. Last year's third placer Oleg Bolovets aims to go 2 better today. Let's hear about how special this race has become from the editor of Irish Runner magazine, Frank Reilly.
Oh, I've been here for them all, right from day one, and it's absolutely brilliant, you know. The marathon has taken off again. It's the last 3 or 4 years, over 10,000 in it again this year, and great revival in running right across the country, you know, and people taking responsibility for their own health. I think the whole thing that's going out there at the beginning of the year, even across RT and TV3 and all these places, encouraging people to get out and exercise. I think you're seeing it flow into the marathon now as well. There's a whole resurgence. I haven't seen the sort of the bounce and the you know, that great excitement about running since the early 80s, and that's in again. I can see there's a whole new running boom abroad here in Ireland. People do into running, fitness walking, jogging, and I think you're going to see growth. I think sustained growth in that area. It's what people want now. People are very much interested in the whole health area.
We have an ambitious early break. It's Aleskey Sokolov, the Russian marathon champion, barely 500 metres into the race. We're on Pearse Street. There's still 26 miles to go. Around half of this throng hails from overseas. Arguably, they're the ones who've kept this race going.
First one I ever ran, I was 55 in 1980. Then I ran in 81 and 82 again. I was 57. Now it's I'm 81 now, 2006, and I don't expect to do, if I do 5 hours, I'll be lucky.
I have 33 done over 22 years. and I didn't start running until 1984.
In the orange singlet, Cian from France, perhaps aiming to break 3 hours, while Kenyan Nicholas Morai is aiming to break away from the bunch and compete with Sokolov. He came 4th in his debut marathon last year in Toronto. 9 of the last 11 winners have come from Africa. Can they continue that record today?
The elite field this year looks really, really strong. I mean, there's a good mixture of European runners and African runners. In the women's race particularly, I think any one of about 6 or 8 runners could win it. From Kenya, there's Caroline Kwambai and Caroline Cheptanui. 2 Ethiopians. Marashet Jima was 5th here last year. She's improved this year. She's improved her best time to 2:35, but that was in tough conditions earlier in the year. And Anetanesh Tadessa has run 2:42, but that was in 32 degrees of heat in Delhi back in February. She's run very fast for the half marathon, so the African presence is strong as ever. Zenaida Semenovas here, who won last year, backed up by 4 other Russian and Ukrainians.
Worth pointing out, there have only ever been 2 African winners of the women's race of the Dublin Marathon. No Russian man has ever won it.
In the men's race, we've got Eshetu Bekele from Ethiopia. I know Eshetu very well. I've worked with him for the last 4 or 5 years. He only races when he's ready. He's run 2:10, 2:11 several times, and he's in good shape at the moment. Semeretu Alameyu, who's his teammate, the fastest on paper in the field with a time of 2:07 from Turin back in 2001. The Kenyans, there's half a dozen Kenyans in the field. The standouts amongst those, probably Lausanne Kimtai, who won 2 years ago, and David Kiplagat, who's very consistent in the 2:13, 2:14 bracket. Neo Molina from South Africa is a very aggressive front runner. We saw last year he was one of the guys that pushed quite hard, and I'd expect him to be up there and feature in the race as well. The guy that won last year, the Ukrainian, he's back with his training partner, who the manager says is even stronger than the guy that won last year, so it's a lottery.
Sokolov has certainly taken a gamble, but interesting stories down the field too.
I'm so nervous, I don't want to do it, it's the first time, I just want to go home. I don't know, I'm planning on about maybe 5-6 hours for this. I've done half marathons, but marathons never before, so extremely nervous.
I don't really feel prepared at all, so I think it's going to be quite hard work. But I've said I'm going to walk it if I can't run it.
We've been training on steadily all summer long. In fact, Dave and myself were in Berlin a few weeks ago running the Berlin Marathon, and we had a bad experience there because it was very warm in the day, so we said we'd come back and do it in Dublin because we knew it would be a lot cooler.
Back for more punishment.
They couldn't get enough of it.
I'd like to do 3:30. My best is 3:27, and I'm getting older, so 3:30 is a stretch even for me. So, yeah, I'm hoping to do well.
A huge contingent from the States and Canada, which, when the race was at its lowest ebb and unsponsored, saw the likes of Jim Orkney having to work so hard to rescue it. We don't need a rain dance today. Conditions are chilly, but thankfully dry. This gentleman won't win, but this one just might. Aleskey Sokolov has reached the North Circular Road and is approaching the 3-mile mark. It looks like Andrew Ayapan and Stephen Chariot making chase. Leading the chasing bunch of 14, Stockholm and Macau Marathon winner Kazaria Zita from Zimbabwe. Immediately behind him, Semeretu Alameyu, the Ethiopian who still holds the course record from the Turin Marathon. And Cian McLoughlin of Clonliffe Harriers, he's in that group too, and well in touch. On the fibs for return to the North Circular Road, Nicholas McGuinness accompanying Letterkenny teammates, Padraig McKinney and Gary Crossan. The leading women well out on their own. Ludmila Pushkina of the Ukraine on this near side, Alina Ivanova of Russia, Caroline Cheptanui of Kenya, and working hard to keep up, her compatriot Caroline Kwambai. The 3 leading Irish enter the Phoenix Park. 4 miles of running to be done here. Just enough room for the 3 there to all come in a stride. Here's our runaway leader Sokolov. In winning the Russian Marathon title last year, he repeated his feat from 2003, but if he holds on like this, I can't recall it being a repeat of anything we've ever seen in Dublin before. Virtuoso stuff. A monumental performance so far. He's holding a lead of about a minute from the chasing pack, about 250 metres clear as the Guinness Brewery flickers in the distance. Cian McLoughlin still part of that group. The friendly marathon continues behind. John Hennessy going through, Christine Parathoner, a marathoner from Italy. As we take a break from the developing action at this Adidas Dublin Marathon, more top-class road running to come.
Oh, there we go. Clare Crusaders, baby. Woo! Get to Cerebral Palsy in Clare County. Yeah!
We're at the 27th Adidas Dublin Marathon. An update on the leaders shortly, but the majority of the 10,500 field are now in the Phoenix Park. The men in black taking a shortcut, Donald Kelly and Jason Kelly. Maybe pink is the new black. It is for Brendan McBearty from Scotland. Calvin Hayes passing through. Paul Mooney and Julian Middleton leading this mini group. Robert O'Reilly, and from West Waterford AC, that's John Heffernan. Nathan Gladwell from England just behind him. A lot of money being raised for charity as well. It normally tops $1 million. Bonjour to two men from France, Christian Morco and Eddie Cadeau. 8898, Brett Eggleston, one of about 1,000 North Americans involved here. And worth remembering as we pass horse and Tukes Run that the president's husband, Martin McAleese, is a noted runner. That's not him. One female athlete well ahead of the rest, Alina Ivanova, won this year's Prague Marathon and finished 7th in the London Marathon of 2004. A rising standard of athletes being attracted to this race. Russians leading both events then as Aleskey Sokolov shows no signs of wilting around the halfway mark in Terenure. Wesley Engetich and Nicholas Morai have given chase for most of this race so far, been whittling down Sokolov's lead. Richie Powell leads the wheelchair and looks certain for victory. 4th, 5th and 6th being carved up by the Kenyans. David Hunt's Edwin Coman and Sylvester Timett alongside 2004 winner Lezan Kimutai. Cian McLoughlin is staying with his chasing bunch. He's 11th still. Our first prolonged look at the champion then. Dimitri Osadji was a hero 12 months ago, finishing 6 seconds outside the course record. That's Matt Smith of Liverpool in the orange singlet. Coman has never won a marathon before. He's never run one before, yet he's in the top half dozen. Terenure being crossed by Sokolov. You have to credit him for the job done so far, but will he burn up in the closing 13 miles? Plenty of first-time marathon runners in this race, 12 of them given a special boost going into the event. Specialist training by Irish marathon champion Gary Crossan.
Gary would have trained us, he would have brought us up, say, to running 5 miles, 10 miles, 15 miles, all the way up to 20, and then he would have winded that down over the last, say, month and a half.
I'm slightly nervous at the minute. I am quite daunted by the task of running the marathon tomorrow, but I know that I've done up to 20 miles, so I'm just hoping that, you know, the support will carry me for the last 6 miles.
My wife was diagnosed a couple of years ago with MS, and she obviously isn't able to run, and it gives me that little bit extra motivation to get up off my backside and go out the door and do the run. And to complete something like a marathon for a charity like MS was probably the prime motivation for me in doing it.
The challenge is just going somewhere where you haven't been before and kind of pushing your body to an extreme, and not just your body, but kind of it's as much mental probably as it is physical.
Well, I'm about 4 stone lighter. I give up the alcohol, I'm eating healthy, I'm doing lots of things with this man here and I would never have been able to do before. And just the challenge of as well of a marathon was something I was going to do before I hit the 50, and I'm there now. I'll be 50 next year and I'll have done the marathon, and I can cross that off my list now.
Sokolov stretching his lead to Rathgar. The miles being whittled away, but nobody can do anything about his lead. A good reception for the chasing 5 as well, but has their chance of glory gone. And David Kiplagat is beginning to struggle. Just contrast that with how Sokolov looks. So calm, so assured. He's kept to largely the same pace and rhythm throughout. It's reflected in his times and in his lead too. Kimitai's gone. The winner from 2004 will not be a winner in 2006. The pace was just too strong. Pace of a different kind for Joseph Mooney and Stephen Hyde from Australia. 6:05.3, Luc Grimaud from France. And in the blue top, Brian Bruton, who's passed halfway in 1 hour and 35 minutes. So we're looking at the athletes in the top 300 at the moment. An unorthodox running style from Dan Riddell from the States. Lots of run-ins from France this year. This is Didier Bourdonneau. Conor McTiernan's waving. He's with Jill Hodgsons and Robert Merry. Another Finlander in yellow, Ipo Rolander, followed by a Swede, Lars Ackerman. Normally we've a large contingent from overseas, but it seems a lot greater this time around. For some, though, the wall can come at any time. Nicolas Morai has survived well to date. Kimitai, Bekele, Ayapan, Ayamalehu, all high flyers early on, now all out. He was impressive in coming fourth in Toronto last year. You wouldn't put him in a relay team, though, would you? Here come the chasers, Kuzin, Kerman, Asaji, Timet and Pride. None of these five trying anything dramatic, so they haven't burnt out. Wesley Engetich, a brave bid to reel in our Russian leader, and he stayed in front of the main bunch throughout, but you'll see they are gradually catching up. No one's catching up with this man. Aleskey Sokolov leads with 4 miles remaining, and he's now on Merrion Road. Brilliant support throughout Dublin as usual for this race. Engetich has been caught. It's Kuzin and Kerman disputing second. Kuzin had been pre-race favourite. Now he's in the top 3. Last year's winner, Asaji, lies 4th. Matt Smith is up to 5th now, Engetich 6th. They're beginning to stretch out. We've lost Irina Savarova from the women's race, so Alina Ivanova's success in the women's marathon now looks to be secure. Savarova was one of the few realistic challengers capable of catching our runaway women's leader. But this Russian looks uncatchable. The RDS will be a welcome sight for him as the city centre looms large in front of him, sauntering through Balls Bridge. Just over 2 miles remaining for the best marathon runner in his country. And mile mark by mile mark, he's getting closer to victory. Silver and bronze look like being divided up between Kerman and Kuzin, unless Asaji on the horizon finds a second win. Just turning by St. Vincent's Hospital now is Ivanova, out on her own for most of the day. Wisław Sanowski is turning out to be a useful pacemaker for her, the Pole, currently 18th in the men's race. Winning is a formality now. His job, just one more bend after this one for Sokolov as he heads into Nassau Street, which he left just over 2 hours ago. He's getting the reception he deserves. Has there ever been a winner like this? He broke clear with barely 500 metres run. He decided there and then he could win this race, and he was right. We've had 2 women before, but in the illustrious 27-year history of this great event, a Russian man has never won the Dublin Marathon before. That changes now, and in record time. He shattered the record by a minute and a half. Alexander Kuzin will follow in second, having held off Edwin Kerman. And he's 2 seconds outside the old mark. Kerman takes bronze in his first ever marathon. And glory for Cian McLoughlin, the Clonlift man, is the first Irishman home.
Yeah, it's my first marathon title, national title, so I won the national half marathon 3 years ago, and so it's great to win another title again. The marathon it's special.
Everything we've said about Aleskey Sokolov, we can repeat about Alina Ivanova. She went solo for so long, and she's reaping the rewards now. A tremendous run, and it's a Russian double. Alina Ivanova wins the women's Dublin Marathon. 2:29.49, the 3rd fastest ever run by a woman in this city. Hayley Henning of Scotland 2nd. Larissa Zusko of Russia, 2nd last year, is 3rd this year. Tullamore's Pauline Curley coming through to retain her Irish Marathon title, or is she? Curley's tying up, and Jill Shannon, in her first ever marathon, will be crowned Irish champion. Dramatic finish. It's obvious Curley is in some distress in falling over the line. Jill Shannon is the Irish champion.
First half was reasonably comfortable. Well, actually there was a really windy stretch of about 2 miles just before halfway, and that sent me back a little bit. That's where I started to slow down a little bit. But then just about mile 26, quads are killing. But turned around the corner and I saw Pauline, and I just sprinted the last little bit and went for it. And still I don't think it's really hit me that I've won it, but it's PB as well, so happy.
On a sad note, news at the end of the race that one of the competitors, Dundalk schoolteacher Michael Morgan, died of a heart attack while running in the Dublin Marathon. Our thoughts are with his family. As the hordes come through the Merrion Square gates, many tales have been born over the 26 miles.
Quite hard, but maybe not as hard as I thought it would be.
We did it for the Cystic Fibrosis Fund, so we said we'd do it for the crack this year now. We did a fancy dress up on the Warriors run in Sligo every year as well, so sure, has to be done.
I've done 8 marathons in Dublin. I did my first marathon in Dublin by 99 when I got ill. So in the meantime I had 27 chemotherapies and 11 operations. And I'm happily always coming to Dublin because I know when I make the marathon here in Dublin, then I'm also able to stand the next operation.
Here's our champion and new course record holder in 2 hours, 11 minutes, 39 seconds, the Russian Aleskey Sokolov. Previously a bridesmaid, but now a Russian bride, Alina Ivanova wins the women's race. This year there have been over 10,000 stories in this naked city. From Will Downing at the Adidas Dublin Marathon, it's goodbye.
It may be slow, but we're willing.
Hi!